Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of the Wise Guys Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez, and let's bring in my co-host, Mr. JC Bluno 24, Jim Crenity. And Jim, as the cat makes the appearance that he has to do by contractual details, it's Wednesday because the wife and son are in Palm Coast, Florida this evening. So we're bringing you the Wise Guys tonight. And James, it was an eventful last week. I personally have watched the draft show a couple of times. You did a wonderful job hosting that, by the way.
Thank you.
Sorry I couldn't be on the entire time with you, but again, Ollie, go away. But again, the kid being put to sleep first. Stop using my chair as a scratcher. Being put to sleep first is the thing I do most nights. Sorry about the ad lib there, but this is the brand new chair I've been telling you about, and he's using it as a damn Walmart scratcher.
Congratulations on all your success.
Dude, you know the last time I bought a chair was? 2015. And it was secondhand.
Mine.
Well, no, we left it in New York. It sat in the apartment when we moved. So we got a lot to get to here, James. We're basically 7 days post round one of the 2023 NFL draft. We have gone through one round and started the second round of playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA. We've had a player come back from Tommy John way early in Bryce Harper. So let's start with the draft, if you would, James. And
absolutely.
I have watched the show a couple of times, trying to figure out where I want to start tonight with. And all the nanny poo-poo aside, Will Levis was a huge surprise.
Yeah, it's he dominated our coverage for most of the night, especially by the time you guys, jumped on, was right when we were thinking he was going to get picked. You and Alex came on right after the Texans shocked the world by jumping up to 3 to get Will Anderson. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Mm-hmm. But it always seemed like, and I think we brought it up briefly, is there's always somebody who's going to plummet down the draft board and then make, a lot of people wonder, is he a bust? Is it going to be Bo Callahan, or is it going to be somebody who's going to jump off the page? And that's what we're waiting on with Will Levis. And I got to say, and I think I texted you and Alex about it after you sent me the meme the other day. Would you like to describe the meme for a moment?
Wait, which one was this? I'm going to go look it up because I've sent you quite a few.
Yeah, no, it was the one about the text he was getting from ESPN.
Oh no, never mind the text from ESPN. My favorite one is the one where McVay called him and said, "We're taking your girl at 34."
Yeah, but it's for those of you who don't know, it's he met his current girlfriend when he was at Penn State before he transferred to Kentucky. She's 21 years old. She's a TikTok sensation. She's got 50,000 followers, but she's also at Penn State. She's the president of an organization or something that works with families and children with cancer. So he gets massive points in my book just for that. But the Titans going quarterback back-to-back years, and then we all saw the story on ESPN earlier tonight about the Tannehill says it's just deja vu from a year ago.
Well, let's break that down a little bit more. I think Malik Willis was a media hype engine last year. I don't think he was that good to begin with.
No.
So that's number one. Number two, and more importantly, I think Levis's skill set, and again, I'm not high on him, is a better fit in Tennessee with the Skoronski pick of the stud left tackle to protect him.
Right.
And the running game, which has carried this team to nearly to a Super Bowl.
Right.
He's a better fit there. He's basically Tannehill with talent.
And younger and strong and a stronger arm.
Yes.
Especially with how yoked he is. But again, is it David Duval's symptom like we talked about last week?
It very well could be. And by the way, I love the fact that we bring up a golfer when we're talking about somebody being too yoked to do something.
As long as it's not an all and much love to our colleague Natalie. As my mom texts me about my vacation next week. But it's a PGA golfer, not a live golfer.
Very true. The only live anyone should talk about is Tyler. But I digress.
Yeah, I could also, if you're a wrestling fan, I could say Liv Morgan, but yeah, I'll go for Liv.
Yeah,
Tyler.
I got you. Liv Tyler, really, because we listened to the 90s iHeart channel in my office during the day. Aerosmith comes on all the time. Speaking of Levis and his roots at Penn State, I hate them. I wish they would be taken out of not only the NFL, but also the world. How cool was Pittsburgh drafting Joey Porter?
That was cool, but the better one was the one that flew under the radar, and I'm glad you brought this up, was Deuce Vaughn getting drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys by his dad.
No, I was going to bring that up because I actually – and Steph's not big into sports at all. She's really not into it at all.
Yeah.
She watches us because we entertain her. That one got me.
Yeah.
Because that was the third one. Because you had, of course, Paris Johnson Sr. played for Arizona. And Paris Johnson Jr., OH, now is going to protect the Oompa Loompa. I mean, Kyler Murray's blind side. You have the Joey Porter one.
When he's not playing Fortnite.
If Paris is like Jedrick Wills, he may just play with him.
One of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite YouTube channels, I can't even think of her name, but she's a female gamer, like early 20s, and what she does is she goes into Fortnite and then she's like paired up, and we've all played the game or seen it. Well, you can do like 1 versus 100. You could do like a 100 battle where it's like teams of 4 or like 4 teams of like 25 teams of 4 or 2 teams of or like 50 teams of 2, and she pairs up with these with guys, and she uses a voice changer because she's a gamer girl, basically looking for a guy to game with, and she's talking with these like teenagers, changing her voice and hitting on them.
Is she the one that did this thing? She told a guy to shut up before she married his dad and gave him a son he was proud of.
That might have been her. I'm still going through a lot of her content. It might have been that.
That is I honestly may have been the best trash
I think
I've ever
that's
heard.
Sweet Tales, and I love her because her big thing is she's like, send me your dads.
That was an asshole thing to say.
I love her. But anyway, getting back to Deuce.
That was phenomenal. I mean, you could hear it in his father's voice. I mean, that was, and the fact is, hey, you'd like to come to work with me next week? I mean, that's dream stuff.
And McCarthy telling him, hey, when you drive in, make sure he's not late now.
I didn't see that part. I saw Jerry Jones talk to him. Listen, for all the crap we give Jerry Jones, and most of it is definitely warranted. Jerry Jones is a good owner in that way.
Yes.
He takes care of his players. With me, he'll always have what I call the Art Modell tag. Art Modell ran Paul Brown out of Cleveland Jerry Jones ran Tom Landry out of Dallas. So there's that, but he always takes care of his players. And even when he has to let them go, it's not something he takes lightly. So I got to give him credit for that. That was a very big moment for him.
And I also think even though even though he's undersized, I definitely think that there's going to be a spot on the 53 for Deuce Vaughn. I think he's just that good of a back, and to be able to get him in the 6th round.
I agree with you because, look, this is going to be the first time since 2016 without Zeke.
Right.
They have a good offensive line. You have a decent quarterback in Dak Prescott. You can use Deuce in a lot of ways. I think Deuce is the more Darren Sproles fit that you were talking about.
Exactly.
For
and
these guys.
Here's the other thing is that, Deuce, Bijan Robinson went 6th overall. And
you're right. That did take the air out of the room. When I watched it, I was like, holy Christ, the three of us had no idea what to say.
And Deuce Vaughn was the one who was the 2-time All-American.
It's because of where Deuce went to school.
At K-State.
Yeah, no, it's where Deuce went to school. Bijan Robinson got drafted because he went to Texas that high. And with a name like Steve Sarkisian now on the sideline, it's a big name in college football. And is Bijan a good running back? Absolutely. He's phenomenal. Right. Is Bijan head and shoulders above Deuce Vaughn? No, I don't believe he is.
No.
But I think with Atlanta, Bijan is a good fit because of his skill set.
Right.
Now, the kid that Detroit took, who the fuck was that?
Another head scratcher for the Lions.
You know what, though? Campbell's not stupid.
No, because you figure they went from, 3-7, and then nearly ran the table to get in and lost out on a tiebreaker midway through their game in the final week of the season.
Exactly. So Dan Campbell's a hell of a coach, and he's a hell of a staff, and he's got a hell of a culture up there. Is Gibbs a head-scratching pick there? Absolutely. When they could have gone on the defensive line and given Aiden Hutchinson a running mate, that would have made them maybe the best front 7 in the game.
Especially with the 2 kids from Georgia still out there.
But I like Campbell.
Yeah, you can't really argue with Dan Campbell.
You can't. What you can argue is this. They needed more help in the secondary after losing Okudah.
Yes.
I could have seen Christian Gonzalez going there because they were before New England, because they picked him and then New England picked Gonzalez right after that, right?
Yes.
I would have rather seen Christian Gonzalez there. Jeff Okudah is the long, quick defensive back who's not afraid to put a hit on you. They may overturn a fumble and screw you out of a shot at a national championship, but he'll put a hit on you. But yeah, he's one of those type of corners. Your front 7's great. You can't play the deep ball, especially now. I mean, granted, the AFC or the NFC North is not what it once was with the mass exodus out of Green Bay. They should win that division going away, but they have nobody who can cover Justin Jefferson.
True. And then, I mean, you're going to see a dramatic shift of the guard because, the Vikings, I think, are going to come back down to earth, with their shakeups. Kirk Cousins is going to be 35 in the middle of next season. He doesn't have a whole lot left on that, on that body. And then I think Chicago's still maybe a year or 2 away, but I think this is something where Detroit's going to be able to build and a lot of people are already thinking this is Detroit's division to lose, even though Minnesota won 12, 13 games last year?
Yeah, Minnesota was tough. They won a lot of games. I think people think it's Detroit's division to lose because their defense is, I think, far superior to Minnesota's right now.
Right, especially with how Minnesota how banged up Detroit got down the stretch.
Yeah, their defense took a lot of hits. Adding Campbell was a big move. Now, if Gibbs' skill set is what they're talking about, it is. And again, say what you want about these Alabama players, we still have only had 1 or 2 in the last 10, 12 years that's been anywhere near what they're advertised to be.
Right.
So take it for what you will. Is he going to be the second coming of maybe an Alvin Kamara? He's built that way. Alvin Kamara had Drew Brees.
Hall of Famer, yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs has Jared Goff. And Hendon Hooker. That was massive.
Yeah, that I did like because they've actually got to have an extra option there. Let's shift off the board here for a second on that. What did you think of the Browns going Cedric Tillman in the third round?
I think an SEC wide receiver in that country is going to be tough to figure out the first year, especially playing in cold weather.
But you also you have to figure you kind of have to take a flyer on him because except for the ankle injury last year, he's a third round talent who could have gone late first round, early second round. And you got him at what, 97? He's 6'3". He's a burner. He's very Josh Gordon-like because he actually beat a lot of Josh Gordon's numbers coming out of the combine.
So here's my thing about Tillman. I like him. I really do.
If anything else, before you start your statement, it means Anthony Schwartz. Bye-bye.
Thank God. You can close the book on Keltner. Sorry, it's the first thing that popped into my head. I like Tillman. I don't know if I like him in what's supposed to be a run-first offense. He could get lost, especially with bringing in the kid from the Jets to be Amari Cooper's right-hand man, because for the first time in a long time, the Browns have a legitimate number one in Amari Cooper.
Right.
So he's going to get lost behind DPJ. He's going to get lost behind – dude, we were talking about how he was going to be a 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Hear me out. DPJ goes into a contract year, especially after that year, which means he's going to get paid by somebody. But Tillman is 6'3" and now can stretch the field with height. So this way you don't have to have Cooper as your deep threat, and he can actually outrun and actually catch the ball, something that Anthony Schwartz didn't do. And this way, because as good as DPJ is as a possession receiver, that's the one thing that this team didn't really do last year was throw deep.
No, and the limited things I saw of the Browns, obviously with me not watching them, I agree with you. But here's the problem with Tillman going there. Your quarterback missed the majority of the season. He's going to latch on to who he knows. He's going to latch on to veterans because now there is no quarterback under more pressure than Deshaun Watson going into the next season. Now, for all the Lamar's making more money, but he's the sixth highest paid quarterback. Nobody has a fully guaranteed contract but him.
Right.
Nobody's contract could hamstring a franchise like his.
Right, because when Philadelphia did it with Jalen Hurts a couple of weeks ago, they already had basically everything locked up, and it was basically his bonus. Same thing with Baltimore. The Browns didn't actually have a whole lot and gave him and threw the kitchen sink at him, trying to get magic beans.
On top of, they could have had 2 first-round wide receivers in the picks they gave up. Now look at it this way. God forbid they ever play the Houston Texans in the playoffs because those picks turned into Will Anderson and CJ Stroud.
Yes.
Can we finally say the Houston Texans won that trade?
I think we could have actually said it even before what happened last Thursday night.
Because they're still going to have a high first-round pick.
Well, because they were going to have high picks, tons of cap space, and actually gain more picks on top of it, which is how you build your franchises. You know what? They're going to come out of this entire thing with, I'm trying to do the math here. I want to say they were going to come out with upwards of 8 or 9 picks in the first 3 rounds with the 3 years involved.
That's insanity. Now look at what I mean, and of course, because they had all of those picks, knowing that as much as I love CJ Stroud, I will say this: I don't think Houston's going to win 8, 6, 7 games next year. I think they're a 5-win team,
Right.
Who has a young quarterback, not a ton of weapons, but they're going to have a good defense.
Yeah, and that's usually a staple with Houston is that even when Watson was good and they were getting to the playoffs, it was their defense that everybody knew them for. JJ, Whitney,
Clowney.
Jadavian. Yeah.
Mario Williams way back in the day.
Yes.
I mean, so yeah, no, listen. The winners in this draft were Houston, the Georgia Bulldogs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman went to the University of Florida. How the fuck does he sleep at night? I know, with a Super Bowl appearance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, the biggest move of their offseason was Kelsey staying.
They didn't need to make anything.
No.
They were within 5 minutes of a championship.
I agree. But again, Kelsey staying was the biggest thing that could have happened to them this offseason. You're talking about an all-pro center possibly going to Canton. If he'd have left for the podcast world, that'd have been it. They wouldn't have been able to get Jalen Carter. They would have needed to draft a center or spent a ton of money on it, which means they wouldn't have had that money for Jalen Hurts. The other one, I really enjoyed what they did in the draft. As much as it pains me to say it. Didn't Baltimore get him another weapon?
I believe so. I can't remember exactly who because I had just logged off. I had just ended the show, I want to say a pick or two before they came on.
Right after JSN went to Seattle and shocked the world. They're going to be nasty.
Yeah.
They're going to be nasty. Locking him and K?
Yeah, it's because you look at it. Stafford coming back off of injury. San Francisco right now doesn't have a quarterback. And then the turmoil that is the Arizona Cardinals.
Have you seen the meme saying they brought in Los Angeles brought in a veteran quarterback to back up Matt Stafford, and it's Stetson Bennett?
Yeah.
That poor guy wins 2 national titles, and because he's long traveled, and how he got all these extra years of eligibility.
They'd have been better off just staying with Baker. I'm sorry. I like Stetson Bennett.
I do too.
But they'd have been better off staying with Baker. Better situation.
Staying with
Baker played very well.
Baker's going to go start in Tampa. Because again, like I said in the show, Kyle Trask is a douchebag.
I prefer douche canoe, but
yes, Oliver. Look at this. He's going to come over here again.
Mike will be back in just a moment.
Yeah, let me go play with the cat for a minute. What did you do to your head? But no, it was an interesting draft. The family touches that happened in those 3 picks were great. I really do like JSN in Seattle. For no other reason than you have now gone 3 deep in a division that the good defenses are all in the front 7.
Baltimore, yeah, you're right. They did get a weapon, and we actually talked about him towards the end of the show. Zay Flowers from Boston
That's
College.
Right, Zay Flowers. He's going to go nice with OBJ.
Minnesota replaces Adam Thielen right behind him, going Jordan Addison.
That's right, because they won 4 wide receivers in a row.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was JSN, Quentin Johnson to San Diego. I'm sorry, Los Angeles, the Chargers, Flowers, and then Addison. And then if you also factor in Dalton Kincaid going to be paired up with Dawson Knox in Buffalo, that's 5 receiver type players within 6 picks.
Kincaid was the kid from Utah, right?
Yeah, the tight end from Utah.
He's good. He's good.
I still don't get how Nolan Smith slipped all the way down to 31.
Who'd he end up going to?
Philly.
Stop it. So Philly got Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in this draft?
Yeah.
Good luck, NFC East. Danny Dimes is dead. Michael Lorenzen just beat the Mets. I'm done.
Do we want to dump on our baseball teams now or wait?
I'm dressed for it. Might as well do it now.
Well, we actually now, before we start dumping in on the Guardians and the Mets, we've got two very big names coming back in Major League Baseball, and one of them actually has already come back, and the other one's making his debut. I want to say tomorrow.
Yeah, Scherzer. Oh, Bryce came back yesterday. And listen, is he playing first base? Did I say?
No, he's only being DH because they actually said him in the outfield is not going to happen this year. They may experiment with him at first base, probably starting June, but they want to actually, get him plate appearances to be able to start loosening up that elbow.
Yeah, well, you figure Rhys Hoskins with the torn ACL on that freak play in spring training. But good for Bryce. I don't like him. I don't, but good for him.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, Justin Verlander in Detroit of all places.
Wait, who?
Verlander.
Mr. Kate Upton?
Yes, Mr. Upton.
Okay. Just making sure.
Mr. Kate Upton makes his long-awaited Mets debut tomorrow. In Detroit of all places, which I think is pretty cool, Jim. I really do. Look, the Mets are in a bad way, but they're now starting to get healthy. Scherzer's back from that bullshit suspension, which who was the umpire? Oh, what was his name? Phil Cuzzy. He's a piece of shit. Sorry. He's the only dude who's thrown people out for this. And you got Herman from the Yankees is told to go wash his hands, and he comes back and he's stickier to Michael friggin' Pineda's neck. And the son of a bitch gets to wash his hands again. Scherzer gets run. The guy going to Cooperstown gets run. And this dude whose name probably isn't even Herman. It's probably something else, like the guy who used to pitch for the man who used to be Fausto Carmona, who used to pitch for the Guardians / Indians.
Thank you for bringing that up.
You think I'm a little fired up that the guy from the Yankees got to wash his hands 44 fucking times and the guy from the Mets got run?
Aaron bleeping Boone.
He's such an asshole. I got to tell you, there are players from that franchise I respect. I respect Derek Jeter. Respect Aaron Judge. The rest of them can burn.
One of the sports gambling sites put out the highest paid players at all divisions in baseball.
Positions? I saw that.
Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, outside of Trout's, Correa, and whoever, and Judge, all these guys are getting paid off of past accomplishments and they're past their prime.
Any free agent's done that. And by the way, there's only one New York Met on that page.
Verlander.
No. Edwin Diaz is the highest paid reliever.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
Because
Clase won't actually get that check from this team.
He might.
They're not going to shell out that kind of money for a closer with the way that they roll over pitching.
No, but I think Ramirez and Jimenez can talk to him and keep him there.
Yeah.
Listen, Clase's in my bullpen on the show.
I think he's the best closer in the game. Diaz, all aside.
Let's see how Edwin bounces back from the patella, because that's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough, but even though the Guardians have been vastly underperforming right now, they can still count on Klose.
That's true. David Robertson decided to pitch this year. You see what he's done?
No.
He's 6 of 6. His ERA is .68.
Jesus.
Robertson has been nasty. By the way, he's only making $10 million.
Only.
Compared to what they were paying their closer who's hurt.
I keep glancing over at my phone. Guardians and Yankees are 2-2 in the 8th.
Did you see Tyler McGill drilled Acuna in the shoulder?
That I did for a quick moment, but yeah.
Braves fans went crazy. He should be suspended forever. Shut the fuck up. That's Luna, who's behind me. It's her birthday today.
As long as she doesn't eat the camera like Oliver does.
Oliver is an attention whore.
I'm sorry. After last week's episode of The Flash, I went back and I started watching Arrow from the beginning. So
did
now
you really?
Whenever your cat comes on, I keep thinking, you have failed this podcast.
Oh, my God. That's so bad. Did you watch his wrestling show with him and his cousin?
Heels? No. I didn't actually get the network that
decent.
I didn't get the network that it was on.
What was it on?
Wasn't it on Access or something?
Might have been.
Which is actually going bankrupt, I'm reading.
No,
that's Vice.
You know which one I want to watch? Speaking of sports, I want to watch Ted Lasso.
I couldn't bring myself to it because it's soccer, which is not a sport.
But here's the thing. They had a scene.
Sorry, Alex, it's not. It's foosball on grass with orange slices. And
remember, Ant-Man asked for orange slices at the end during Civil War. So orange slices are permitted.
I'm a DC guy. I'm looking forward to The Flash, Ezra Miller controversy aside.
So am I. They have a scene where they're sitting in his office. Now, first of all, you know what the concept behind the show is?
Yes.
Okay. So they're sitting in his office, and the reporter who hates him is there. The Roy Kent character, who is the most foul-mouthed character this side of Deadpool. And his coach he brought with him and another person. He goes, that's it. Favorite Julie Andrews characters. And they have a play in a game. Hold on. They have a play in a game where this is the sign for it. Sudeikis is hilarious.
I mean, Sudeikis, there's not a whole lot he can do wrong. Did you ever see the thing from Graham Norton with Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman
about Sudeikis knowing it was a cock ring around her neck and terrible losses?
And how they got Jennifer with the Friends clap.
I've seen that exact episode. You know what other one from that movie gets me? Colin Farrell is hilarious in that movie. I
love me some Colin Farrell.
Hey, you're late. I was at your father's funeral. That's on Tubi.
Yeah.
I might have to watch that. So Jim, let's jump from the draft and the hilarity that is the NFL's bullshit offseason. Still a little bitter. And let's talk about the ongoing playoffs. And let's start in the NBA. Let's get our grievances out now.
Okay.
And let's leave the baseball teams for another night because we may need to have a special guest next week. Something I sent you on Messenger, sir.
Yes, you did.
I think next Thursday we should invoke our good friend, the referee.
Our privilege clause.
Yes. Our we've known you longer than most. Come on the damn show clause.
It's a good thing we did this show tonight because considering who that person is, tomorrow for them is a national holiday.
Yes, John, from Jim and I, may the 4th be with you.
No, from Mike, because I hate Star Wars.
Dude, I'm telling you, Mandalorian, you'd
enjoy. Be with you.
Stop it. Mandalorian, you'd enjoy. It's a spaghetti western with Apollo Creed.
Still wouldn't.
Dude, you're killing me.
Never going to happen.
Not even Apollo Creed?
Never.
Not even Taika Waititi as a fighting bot?
Never.
Dude, you're killing me. Gina Carano's in it.
Fuck Gina Carano. Seriously, 10 years ago when she was hot and she wasn't a right-wing nut job, maybe.
I can't hate on that. Anyways, so let's start with the immense number 2 that Cleveland Cavaliers laid in the first round. And I want to put a positive spin on this.
Because that's the only thing you could try to do right now.
Their average age is 23. That's the spin. That's all you need.
That's the only positive to come out of that entire thing.
Well, look. No, it wasn't a good series. It was terrible.
You went up to New York, and bright lights, big city, and you died. To quote Jim Rome, when the going got tough, they quit.
Yeah, I watched the highlight packages from both of those games in the Garden, and they were terrible. I'm not going to lie. They were terrible. There is no sugarcoating that. There is no, they're this, they're that. No, they were terrible. Donovan Mitchell has taken full responsibility. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
But he has said, I was horrible. I have to be better. Darius Garland also has said apparently he had to be better too. I will tell you this. There are people saying that the Cavaliers should go get Draymond Green. Fuck you.
Right.
How about them apples?
Yeah, let's put a pin in that one because I want to come back to that in a second when we actually talk about what they need to do to keep this from happening.
I mean, look what the actual Bobby Brown did to Whitney Houston.
I still remember the Mad TV skit where you know where I'm going with it.
I know exactly where you're going with it.
Yeah, for risk of sounding like assholes, we won't continue down that path.
Wise guys, not assholes. It's
20 years ago when we had the Wise Ass Sports Network.
Yes, we would have said it. We would have said it, but we'll have respect now. Although when we started talking about this just now, that meme with the soda machine popped into my head. I'm going straight to hell. So let's talk about what you think the Cavaliers need. I will say this. I think they need a coach who trusts his bench in the postseason like he does in the regular season. I don't like the rotation he played at all.
Nobody did. Let's call this what it is, that they could have used Kevin Love for his leadership, his size, and his ability to bang. And yet what's funny is that they let him go in favor of Dean Wade, who only played 7 minutes in 5 games. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. And now, by the way, Kevin Love's playing in the second round, although the Knicks are beating the shit out of them too.
Yeah, but
what the fuck do the Knicks think they are?
Yeah, but Miami beat the shit out of them in game 1.
I thought that was 2-0 Knicks.
I thought it was 1-0 Heat.
No, they played 2. I think that's 2-0 Knicks.
Hang on, let me check.
Because Steve Cohen was at the game when they won. So was Aaron Rodgers and Sauce Gardner, for that matter, too.
It's 1-1.
Oh, it's 1-1? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Love, I think, was a missing piece.
Yeah, because they beat him 108-101 in game 1, and it wasn't that close.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Do I think they win the series if Kevin is still on the team? No, I don't. I think the Knicks just flat out outplayed them. And that's not coaching. That team wanted it more. Having said that, I don't think the Cavs are as far away as people think they are.
No, but you would have liked to have seen a lot more improvement from where they were. Remember, this was a team that was the youngest in the NBA last year, overachieved, got to the play-in tournament because of injuries. This year, healthy, go out and make the big move. But let me pose the question that we never brought up last week because it was all draft show. In hindsight, could this be a trade that comes back and bites the franchise? And let me speak on that for a moment. You get Donovan Mitchell, you end up as a 4, and you go out and get humiliated in the first round. Who's to say that you wouldn't have been a 6 or a 7 seed, gotten into the play-in, and been in and had the same outcome and still at a much much better team, and then also maybe would have seen a like Markkanen turn a corner the way that he did last year and be able to build off of that.
Well, there's two things. One, you couldn't guarantee Markkanen was going to turn the corner. You don't know what would have happened had he stayed. No, this trade will not come back and bite the team for one very simple reason. I think Donovan Mitchell will stay here because of the way that CBA is going, because of the contracts they can give out and keep their guys, and the fact that this Cleveland team is still the deepest, youngest team in the NBA.
I think when his contract is up, I don't want to say next year, but the year after, I think the first opportunity he gets, he's going to New York.
No one can pay him like the Cavs can because of the new CBA. The Knicks are not going to go out and sign him in free agency when they're going to have their own decisions to make on guys like Obi Toppin, now Jalen Brunson, with what he has brought to the table. He's going to want another contract. You have to decide what you're going to do with RJ Barrett. Who was the one that came back for the series from the injury? The one Jarrett blocked the shot and he fell.
Julius Randle.
How do the Knicks, with what they've done now, and Dolan's a moron, but how do you rationalize blowing up this team that has brought excitement to the Garden this late in the year for the first time since, dare I say, Patrick Ewing's era?
Yeah.
Carmelo never did this.
Yeah, let's also call it what it is. Basketball is better when people are making fun of the Knicks, just like baseball is better when the Yankees stink.
I don't disagree with you.
And hockey is better when the Rangers suck.
Did they really blow a 2-0 lead against the Devils?
Yeah. and got shut out in Game 7.
That's hilarious.
And yeah, we'll talk about that when we talk hockey playoffs here in a couple of minutes.
So, going back to what the Cavaliers have, they have a team that plays well together. They have a team that seems to, let me put it this way. The LeBron teams that went to the finals were full of drama. This team likes each other. That chemistry goes a long way, dude. I am a firm believer in that. No one's going to be able to pay Mitchell the money the Cavaliers can. No one's going to be able to pay Darius Garland or any of these other guys because you can have the third Supermax contract. And if it's a guy that came up through your system, you can pay him more than everybody else. So they're going to have these things available to them. And they've got a good coaching staff. Was that Bickerstaff's first shot at the playoffs?
I want to say
outside of the play-in.
Yeah, I want to say, it was his first actual shot because I don't think he got there with his first go-around.
So what you're telling me is you got a young coach and a young team that just got a taste and won 51 games. Yeah, I'll buy into the Cavaliers going into next year.
Yeah, but he fell into the same rut of another Cleveland coach, and that would be Kevin Stefanski, of no adjustments at halftime.
You can coach up adjustments all you want. If your players don't execute them, it doesn't matter what you say at halftime. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but I'm serious. You could say, we need to do this on defense. Your boys don't do it, and you're in a situation like this. If Donovan Mitchell didn't play, and I'm using him as an example, I'm not saying he did anything like this, but if Donovan Mitchell decided, we need to move the ball more, nah, man, I need to take over and go ISO, you're not going to sit him. That's career suicide.
Yeah.
Are you playing with your lights?
Yeah, it was it shifted. So who do you think gets moved? Who's not here on this team next year?
Honestly, I don't think Dean Wade's here next year.
They signed him to an extension after
they're going to trade him.
I think Isaac Okoro's gone.
I think he's gone too, which I think is a mistake. Isaac Okoro is your best on-the-ball defender on the team.
I'm going to make also the unpopular decision. I think Chetty's gone.
That would break my heart.
I think the three moves if I were Kobe Altman, that need to be done right now. And no, I'm not getting rid of JB, although you get one, you get it's Stefanski syndrome with the Browns. You get one full year with your superstar with Mitchell, and then you make the decision because you can't get the sample size like Stefanski had last year with only 6 games of Watson.
I don't think you can do that with Bickerstaff.
Because I mean, Nick Nurse is out there, and Nick Nurse won a championship, and Nick Nurse had 2 bad seasons afterwards, after Toronto won their title.
Let's be honest. Nick Nurse had 2 bad seasons after Toronto won their title because Kawhi left and they decided to dismantle the team. It had nothing to do with him as a coach.
Right. But also remember Toronto fired Dwayne Casey after winning Coach of the Year a couple of years ago, a few years ago before Nick Nurse took over.
Toronto's not the best example of this.
Right. I think Okoro is out. I think Osman is out. And I think before camp breaks, you need to give an edict to Evan Mobley that you need to put on 20 pounds.
I think he's going to do that anyway.
You cannot be 6'11", and I don't care if he's only 22 years old and only weigh 215.
No, I agree. Mobley does need to do some body reconstruction.
I'm not saying go Zion and eat yourself out of basketball to where Zion is actually quickly turning into the biggest number 1 overall bust since Michael Olowokandi.
Greg Oden was a bigger bust.
Greg Oden was number 2.
Oh, that's right. That son of a bitch went 1 that year, didn't he?
Yep.
Who's down 0-2 to the Joker? Oh, the things that bring me joy. I think Okoro's gone. I think Mobley can be turned into. Here's the thing: Mobley's not a banger. He's not. He's an on-the-ball wing who's learning to shoot the 3. Putting on a shit ton of muscle probably won't help him. Do you want to know who will help? Jared Allen.
Here's the thing with Okoro is that I think Lamar Stevens is a better defender, but Lamar Stevens can't shoot. You brought in Okoro because he can score and play a little bit of defense, but now you're relying on his defense and expecting to try to develop his shot. Doesn't work that way. You either have it or you don't. And I like Isaac. I just don't think it's going to work.
But you can develop his offensive game. But that's just it. And he has shown flashes of being that guy. The problem is every time he shows a flash, he gets hurt.
I think you have to let Okoro go because you also are going to need the money because I think you have to bring Karis LeVert back.
Yeah, without Okoro scoring, you have to bring Karis LeVert back. I'm more concerned about their front court. I really am. They got exposed pretty hard. And I know we talk a lot of shit about the Knicks, but this Knicks team is built like the Knicks teams of the Patrick Ewing era. You got the one guard who can shoot, but they win by winning the advantage on the boards, both offensive and defensive, and playing tough defense underneath against everybody. That's how they beat the Cavs. That's probably how they're going to beat Miami. And then Boston's going to clean their clock.
Yeah. Man, these have been some fun playoffs so far.
They have been. Speaking of fun playoffs, let's go to the NHL, which has been insanity. How about fucking Boston?
So this is where Mike turns the show over to me, huh?
Yeah. Outside of the one other topic I want to talk about, because blow my fucking mind.
You realize the last time the Boston Bruins lost a Game 7 was also in TD Bank North Garden?
Was it really?
I'm going to give you a guess because you're wearing your Mets gear. You want to guess who their last Game 7 loss was against? I'll give
the Islanders?
I'll give you one guess. It's on your screen right now.
St. Louis.
The 2019 Stanley Cup Finals Game 7 was the last time Boston was in a Game 7 and lost a Game 7 on home ice. Both series ended with Brad the Rat Marchand crying on the bench. Thank you, Florida.
Is that what you were talking about on Twitter? Because I saw that and I was like, oh, Jim's getting fired up.
135 points, 65 NHL regular season wins, both NHL records, and you go out in the first round.
Wait, they were what,
Wild
60?
card.
They were what, 65, what, 12-5?
Yes.
I pulled that out of the air.
Greatest regular season team in history. Here's the funny thing. Since they started giving away the President's Trophy for best overall regular season record in 1985, 1986, only 11 teams have won the championship.
Wow.
Let me do a deep dive here, and I'm going to blow your mind even a little bit more with the hockey knowledge. Only 2 of those teams that won the President's Trophy lost in the first round.
This year's Bruins.
And the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning, who got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I remember that.
The starting goaltender for the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets and the 2023 Florida Panthers, Sergei Bobrovsky.
No kidding. He's got their number.
The same guy. And now, granted, he beat Tampa and Boston, but he's just got something about him. And then Florida won Game 1 against Toronto.
Yeah, that I knew.
In the
Friends,
second round.
yeah, friends of ours from up north are Maple Leaf fans, so they were lamenting. What?
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, her husband says the same thing to her.
The second round is even more historic because of what happened on the other side of the bracket. Seattle Kraken, anybody?
Are they going to go to the final?
I don't know if they actually. Let's see what happens with the rest of the series. I think they're poised to be able to hang with and possibly beat Dallas. I really don't know right now. With Boston going out, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to beat the Vegas Golden Knights. I think Vegas is just too deep. But here's the funny thing. 8 teams left in this tournament. So you've got, and I'm going to probably fumble with this for a minute. You've got Seattle and Dallas in the West, and then you've got Vegas and Vegas and Edmonton. And then you've got Florida, Toronto in the East, and then you've got Carolina and the Devils as the other matchup. Somebody's going to break an extremely long championship drought. Let me break down all 8 teams. Seattle, for a second ever season. Vegas, only one other championship finals appearance, no cups. Florida's only championship appearance was 1996, where they got 1995, where they got swept by the Colorado Avalanche. So 3 teams looking for their first cup. Dallas has only got 1 cup, and it was 1999. New Jersey's last cup was 2001. Carolina's last.
Oh no, Brodeur didn't win one after that?
No, that was the third of theirs.
Okay.
Carolina's only championship was 2006, which was the year after the lockout.
That's right.
Edmonton's last cup was 1990, but they played against Carolina in those 06 finals and came up short in Game 7. And Toronto has got the league's longest championship drought at 55 years, not having won since 1967. So somebody is breaking a massive, massive drought in these playoffs, and I am all for it.
In reality, what you have is teams are either going to break a 15 to 20-year drought or win their first one ever.
Yes.
That's cool.
That is very, very cool. And here's and again, only 2 of those teams having won a championship in this century, and only one of those having it won after the 04-05 lockout.
The plethora of knowledge of the puck that you have, sir. Yet, I blew your mind the other day with a little something I sent you, didn't I?
You sent me many a thing, Michael.
I'm talking about the minority owner of the Ottawa Senators.
Potential. He's in a group looking to buy them, and there's another side to this story. So let's get into that.
Snoop Dogg. What in the hell?
Did you see the clip that I was telling you about of him on ESPN?
I didn't see the clip on ESPN. I saw all of what I sent to you, and the fact that he's been into hockey this long.
Yes. He
And
attends Kings games regularly.
I think that's phenomenal. And the fact that he actually wants to bring hockey to the urban areas.
Now let's also be clear. He is not looking to have this ownership group buy the Ottawa Senators and move them out of Ottawa.
No, he wants to keep
Ottawa
Canada.
is a prominent market. Ottawa has a lot of very good young stars in Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle. Ottawa is going to be an up-and-coming team. Ottawa is probably a year away from getting back to the playoffs, and it's Canada's capital. And Canada fought hard to be able to get the Jets and the Senators there as moving in, and they're going to hold on to their 7 franchises wherever possible.
No, you're absolutely right. And the fact that he is committed to keeping Ottawa in Ottawa, number one. Number two, that again, this is a guy who played high school football and basketball. This is a guy whose son signed a major Division I scholarship to was UCLA, right?
Correct. I think the clip of him because of his Snoop Academy or whatever school he's with, he said the school has churned out 20,000 kids going to D1 schools.
Yeah, and this is the music version of LeBron, basically, with what he's done for the inner city youth. I want to touch on him wanting to bring hockey more to the masses here in the States. Let's talk about the reach he's going to have. He just played the Super Bowl.
If his group wins this bid, because here's the one thing, getting back, and we'll get back to Mr. Calvin Brodus here in just a second.
I'd love to use his real name, by the way.
What's that?
I love that you used his real name.
Yeah. But the other ownership group that is looking to buy them, I don't know if you've seen the name attached to that.
I have not.
Ryan Reynolds.
Why does that not shock me?
Deadpool versus Snoop. Personally, I go with Green Lantern. I liked it. I've said it before on this show. I liked it.
I still think that's great. That's Taika Waititi who played his best friend.
Yeah, and it was but then again, no, I think we can actually both agree that he's not Adam, he's not Deadpool, he's not Green Lantern. Who is he? Blue shirt guy.
Oh yeah, he's Guy.
He's Guy.
Sidebar. The Chris Evans movie with Ana de Armas that's been all over the place for Apple.
I need to see it.
Did you hear about the cameos?
No, don't say anything because I'm
okay.
I might find alternate route to watch it this weekend.
You're gonna laugh your ass off because all 3 of them, it just took a phone call.
I think I heard something about it. Oh, is one of the no, wait, no, never mind. Because I was gonna say somebody sent me a video or it showed up in my YouTube shorts about like Channing Tatum doing a cameo in something.
It's not Channing Tatum. No. But it's 3 major members of the MCU.
Which again, I'm not a fan of, but I'll definitely look.
Trust me when I tell you, in the situations I read they were put in, you will love this. So Ryan Reynolds owning a hockey team, first of all, Blake's going to cut off the checkbook after he spent that money with Mulaney and bought friggin' Wrexham. Who, by the way, can we say congratulations to them for moving up?
I don't follow soccer, so I'll take your word on that.
They graduated from their league and I think are in the Premier League now.
Can you ever see a situation where we get something like that with a major North American professional league? Or do you think it's only going to be the minor system and then you're going to have, I mean, could we see like the NFL maybe go to 40 or something, in our lifetime? Or would you see something like, the NBA goes to, 36 or 32 or something, and then we actually have teams go up and down with levels?
The only way I can see that is if the champion of either the XFL or the USFL gets a shot at playing against the team that has the number 1 pick in the draft to see who plays in the NFL the next year.
If anything, I think they probably would not do that because it's kind of like it's every other country in the world does that. Russia does it, Sweden, Finland, Germany, England, Spain, all the major, the KHL, the second biggest hockey organization in the world, does that. And a lot of those players jump to the US, but I mean, naturally, a lot of those Russian guys can't get out right now, but.
Yeah, but they jump to the US because of the exposure and the money. They don't jump to the US because of the competition.
And it's also a better game because it's on a more condensed ice surface. Remember, the international games, the international rinks are 10 feet wider and 30 and 20 feet longer.
Yeah, I remember. The one thing I do watch the Olympics is the hockey in the Winter Olympics, because Jamaica hasn't had a bobsled team in a long time, except the last one. Oh, they're doing a documentary about them.
Yeah, Uncle Buck.
You know who else are doing one about? Colin Hanks. Tom Hanks' son is doing one about Willie Mays.
Not Willie Mays Hayes?
Yeah, well, he runs like Hayes, but he hits like shit.
Shit. I've been cut already?
Was it Arizona who did that whole opening sequence a few years ago? Oh, man. So, if you had to pull somebody who's going to win this cup right now, who would you pick?
Oh, I don't see. I'm literally gonna break them all down here very quickly. Pros and cons as to yes and no. Seattle too young, although they are very poised that this is not going to be a flash in the pan. Do they get past Dallas potentially? I think Dallas is set up, but I think Dallas is a little inconsistent, so I don't see Dallas. I think Vegas right now, as much as it pains me because I fucking hate Jack Eichel for the way that he did my Sabres, and it would actually mean that they win that trade in the immediate future, although I think Buffalo's much more set for the future, of course. I see Vegas getting past Edmonton, although I would love to see Connor McDavid get a cup, and then because remember, Canada hasn't had a winner since '93 with the Canadians, so this is 30 years for Canada without a cup.
Wow.
Yeah, I would like to see Edmonton go. I think if anyone's going to beat Vegas in the West, it's going to be Edmonton, and whoever wins that series is going to come out of the West. I think right now Carolina could be the team to beat in the Eastern Conference because I think Florida right now is playing with house money, and I think the other shoe is waiting to drop on Toronto after breaking their 19-year playoff drought of basically winning. Toronto hadn't won a first-round series since 2004, up until they knocked out Tampa the other night. I don't know about New Jersey because right now New Jersey is operating with a third-string goaltender who's kind of resurrected his career. But again, it's playing with house money and coming off 7 grueling games against a Ranger franchise that was basically going all in. So right now I could potentially see a Carolina Vegas final, or I could see a Carolina Edmonton rematch. I'm going to say heart says Edmonton. I'm going to say head says Vegas. I think the West, even though most of the powerhouse teams were in the East, I think somehow, some way, the champion comes out of the West.
Okay, that's fair. Real quick, NBA. Who you got in the finals with currently constituted right now?
Can the Lakers and Warriors both lose because we're sick and tired of both of them, although it's kind of fun to actually see that LeBron-Steph rivalry get back going.
It very much is.
I would like to see Joker come out. I think Boston is playing very well, even though they lost game 1 the other night. That's going to be a hell of a series, even though I hate Philadelphia. And then the Miami series is a lot of fun as well. There's something about me, and it's not favoritism because there's a picture of them hanging up on my wall, not even 8 feet away. I like the Boston Celtics. I like Boston and Denver.
Okay. I'm gonna go old school finals.
Boston getting that close last year just fuels them more.
I'm gonna go old school finals.
Philly Lakers.
Lakers Celtics.
I'm gonna totally steal somebody's thunder off of ESPN earlier this week, but it's like
Jesus, why?
Anthony Davis is well, it was one of their writers, not one of their TV guys.
Oh, good.
But Anthony Davis is a top 5 player in the league when he's fully healthy, but the problem is you can't count on him.
Agreed. I am mostly saying that because I hate Steph Curry and I want them to lose. And unfortunately, they have to lose to the Lakers. And quite honestly, for the first time in his career, someone didn't get a single vote for MVP.
Yeah.
We all know a pissed off LeBron James plays better than when he's not.
Yeah, but he only played, 55 games?
I understand. But
how much fun, think about it, though, as good as we get LeBron versus Steph round 5, how much fun would have Kings-Lakers semifinal in the West?
That would have been good. Poor Mike Brown.
I think he's still going to win Coach of the Year because also they said, the Sacramento GM already won Executive of the Year.
Well, Mike Brown won one of the Coach of the Years already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think he'll win the other one too. I hate the Celtics.
Yeah, they're not my Celtics. The parquet floor, wearing the green alternate jerseys at home. It's like, no, you should be wearing the white with the green at home, period, end of discussion.
No, I agree with you. So last little bit I want to get into is what Giannis said after Milwaukee lost. First of all, the Giannis is one of my favorite players now.
Yes.
I love his skill set. The fact that he led a small market team to a championship, phenomenal. What he said the other night, and I'm going to paraphrase here. He was asked if the season was a failure because it didn't stop it.
Yeah, I know.
I've been stifling mine. So he was, and I'm paraphrasing him, and he was asked if he thought this season was a failure. And he said to this journalist, and never got an answer, Michael Jordan played 15 years in the NBA. He only won 6 championships. So were the other 9 years a failure? And the entire room went silent. Now, between him shutting reporters up that way, and did you see what J.J. Redick did to Stephen A.?
No, because
that's another one you have to watch.
Yeah, because the last thing I saw JJ do was shut up Kendrick Perkins, which broke the internet.
You know what, though? I don't like these Duke boys. JJ Redick just brings that extra little hood to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask your opinion on what Giannis said. I agree with him. Just because you don't win a championship, it's not a failure. This is where the journalist of today, and I use that word journalist with quotation fingers because, my friend, you're a journalist. These guys are schmucks. I agree with Lebitard. I think that Stephen A. and Skip Bayless have ruined sports reporting forever. It's become less of the nuanced actual reporting and more hot take.
And that's ironic for us to say with Lebitard because he's probably worse than both of them.
Lebitard's an asshole, but he's not wrong.
Right. Yeah, well, even a busted watch is right twice a day.
I just had to replace a band on mine because Bobby broke it. But going on.
Bracelets, and I use my phone as my watch.
I have a smartwatch. But I agree with Giannis. You cannot say just because you didn't win a championship, a season is a failure. Let me go to baseball for just a second. The Mets won 101 games last year, finished in a flat-footed tie for the division championship, but lost the division because 10 of the 19 games were played in Atlanta. The other 9 were played in New York. They were 5-4. They were 6-3 in New York. They were 4-6 in Atlanta. Those 10 of those 19 are in New York. Was the season a failure? Absolutely not. Was it disappointing? Yes.
There's some truth to both sides of the equation, and I'm not trying to, flip the coin and hope it lands on its side. It's certainly not the outcome that you want, but Milwaukee was supposed to be right there with Boston as coming out of the East, certainly getting to the conference finals. If it wasn't going to be them, it was going to be Philly, and Yankees 1-10.
Damn it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's certainly a disappointment, but for a team that good, 2 years removed from a championship, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's disappointing if Giannis plays in that series and they lose. I think that's when you call it a failure.
I was going to say the Milwaukee thing's a little different because Giannis really didn't play. And when he did, you could tell he wasn't anywhere near healthy enough to be playing.
But respectfully, and you're going to hate me for this, I think what the Mets did last year, having the third highest payroll in baseball, going out and trying to win, buy and win a championship, having that big of a lead, having it lose and going out in the first round. I thought last year was a failure for the Mets.
I don't consider it a failure because Atlanta did something no one's ever done. Jim, they literally won 80% of their games from June 1st to the end of the year. The Mets won 66%.
I get that, but
how's that a failure?
Yeah, but it's still something that, the Padres, we expected the Padres were going to finally turn the corner and be to the promise of their payroll, and at least they got out of the, they beat the Mets 2 out of 3 and beat them in the second, in game
beat the Dodgers.
Agreed, and also beat the Dodgers. So the Dodgers I thought was a failure because they had the highest payroll in baseball last year. If your Mets have the highest payroll in baseball history this year and don't get to at least get to the NLCS, I think it's an abscess failure. I don't care how many.
This year, I agree with you 100%.
I don't care. I don't care if Verlander, Diaz, and Lindor all go out tomorrow with ACL injuries. I think it's a failure if you guys don't make the LCS this year.
I think if injury is the issue, it's not a failure because you can't all the payroll in the world, deepest minor league system on the planet. You cannot, no team can plan for your big ticket. And I don't mean just money. If Pete Alonso got no, that can't happen. So I won't speak it into existence. But if somebody like that was injured and you take that bat out of the lineup, I'm sorry, that's not a failure. That's a 162-game season in injuries. Now, if you go into the playoffs and you get in and you go in fully healthy and you lay an egg, hell yes, that's failure. Agreed 100%. And you know me, I bleed orange and blue 24/7, 365. I wore the jersey on Sunday to a party. Look at the colors on my hat.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my Big Rican hat. I bleed these colors.
Oh, you mean this one?
Oh, yay. So
I'm still working on it.
And I appreciate everything.
Week or two.
I appreciate everything. You know that. But yeah, there are certain circumstances where, yes, seasons are a failure. But to blanket a season that doesn't end in a championship, a failure just off the top, that's horseshit. I'm sorry. It's horseshit.
Yeah, again, this is me playing both sides of the coin,
and I understand that.
From sitting in that press room in my younger days.
See, and that's where I wanted your perspective on it.
Yeah, sitting in that press room and asking that type of question to the late Rolly Massimino, and I'm certainly not going to say the great Rolly Massimino because respect for the deceased, Rolly was not nice with reporters, and he certainly wasn't nice with me, especially since I had class with two of his players for one semester. But also from the athlete's perspective, getting to know some of those guys in the locker room with my work with the former Cleveland Barons, hockey team and CSU athletes, being able to see them in class and outside and just exactly what they're going through, talking to them off the record and everything, just as acquaintances, one of them, a couple of his friends. I knew Stipe Miocic for a semester or two, the former UFC world champion.
Wait, did I see he's fighting the drug addict?
Yeah. And did you also see what I posted on YouTube earlier today?
No, I didn't, but I hope he beats his ass.
That John Jones, if regardless of the outcome, he actually says that he may walk away at 35 years old. Please, it actually would mean that
go away.
It would actually mean that, yeah, if he beats Stipe, he doesn't have to worry about getting suspended for a year again by USADA for failing a post-fight drug test.
Which he's going to fail anyway.
Only fighter in history to get stripped of a championship 3 times.
Jesus Christ. I hope Stipe wipes the floor with him.
I just don't, because Stipe hasn't fought in a year and a half.
Well, he's been fighting fire, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, granted. And, the local boy in us would love to see that happen. I just don't know if it, I just thought that, this is basically them playing matchmaker, like when Brock Lesnar, first came in. It's like, throw him to Randy Couture. It's, that's exactly what they're doing. They're playing fantasy booking.
Let me ask you this.
They should have put John Jones against the I can't think of his name, the Russian who just wiped the floor with Curtis Blades last week.
I don't really, other than when Stipe fights, I don't care, to be honest with you. And that's local boy stuff.
Right.
But it was Stipe in a high-profile match that started the title avalanche in Cleveland that year.
Yeah.
The Monsters won the Calder Cup, and then the Cavs won the NBA championship.
Yep.
Stipe, win this one, would you?
It'd be nice because John Jones is now turning into the guy that you pay money. I should say at this point, waste money, hoping he gets his ass kicked, and he never does. So you come away feeling like you should have just gone and, put your $60 down on 0 on the roulette table, knowing that it's the highest house advantage to lose.
Well, in the immortal words of Wesley Snipes,
always bet on black.
Always bet on black. Unless you're Peyton Manning.
You know what we need to do one of these days?
What's that?
The next time you come up to Ohio, we need to get some buddies together, some of the old guys, and we need to go down to the casino. We need to actually we need to play red or black.
Oh, no.
You ever done that?
No.
You get about 4 or 5 guys together and you decide whether it's going to, $5 a piece, $10 a piece, whatever it is. You go and you designate one person to go at all times. So it's not like I'm feeling it or you're feeling it. We would just designate. Let's say, for example, it was like you, me, Alex, Willie, and Rice, the 5 guys that have appeared on this show.
Okay.
And we all throw in $5. So it's a $25 bet. And you go put it on black, which pays 1-to-1, or red. And that's all you're doing is playing red or black. And you guys decide, I'm going to be the one. I don't have to go right now. If I'm feeling it, I can just grab our money and go throw it on there. Now, if we win, sure, we double up. But we keep going until you have to actually double up at least 4 times before you can consider walking away. So at that point, 25 turns to 50, 50 turns to 100, 100 turns to 200. And that is like, now that we've hit it 4 times, that's when we can consider cashing out. But it's not something that we could actually be talking. It's like, are you feeling it? I don't know. It's like, but then I can actually just grab the chips and go at any single time. And if we lose, that's it. We don't do it again for that day. We could go back the next day, but we don't do it again. And that's the red or black game.
Me, you, Frankie, I'd pull Nick into this.
Frankie will never step foot in a casino. And I've also got a little bit of I don't want to say a roulette aficionado, but I've actually been known to sit down with $20 on a roulette table and turn it over into 700 in about 4 hours.
I will send you $20 tomorrow.
I hit 4 numbers in a row. I actually hit the 4th one, and I tipped the girl my winnings because she's never seen it before. That's a 35-1 bet.
That's insanity.
That's like Kelly Bundy, if you remember that episode.
Oh God, the Kelly Bundy,
where she's predicting him, where Al goes to try and win. Remember, that was when Peggy and Marcy took all the money and went to Vegas, and Al ended up fighting the girl from Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling for $1,000 or something.
That's right.
And then he thought he was James Bond. I like a man who's on top of things, and I like a woman with things on top. My God, what a great show. Because remember, I wore the jersey last week on the show.
You did. And do you know he's got one of the more iconic, that line, a lot of the Al Bundy lines, but the most iconic line he ever said was in Modern Family. Sofia Vergara goes, I'm going to take a shower. Do you want to come with me? He looks at her and goes, honey, there's a gun in a Foot Locker in the garage. If I ever say no to that question, I want you to use it on me.
Oh, God.
He's the best. I still can't believe he went to training camp with the Steelers.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Who can also ever forget that Julie Bowen was I can't even think of her name on the show, something Dunphy, and that
Claire.
was like, what's that?
Claire
Dunphy was Happy Gilmore's girlfriend.
That's right. And Odd Job was the not Odd Job. What was his Bond villain name? Jaws. And Jaws was the dude he shot in the head with the nail gun.
And you can count on
in the parking lot.
I will get you, shooter.
You know, they wrote the Bob Barker part for somebody else.
Yeah, I did read that.
And Bob Barker actually trained with Chuck Norris.
The scary thing is that we lost Betty White last year. Is Bob Barker up in the Deadpool next?
I don't want to think about it because at that point in time, no one would spay or neuter their animals.
Oh. First of all, Bob Barker is 99. He's going to hit 100 if he lives to December.
Come on, Bob.
Do you remember? Well, not for the way that he basically sexually harassed what was
all of them?
Janice Pennington most of all.
Yeah.
First of all, she was my favorite one growing up. That was the shorter blonde girl. But we remember our friend from high school and shortly after, Jeff Witt.
Yes.
And do you also remember Ed Babcock's?
Vaguely.
Hung around with Baltitis and them?
Yeah, vaguely.
Eddie had, first of all, Eddie's, I want to say I think he's the head coach of Cleveland Heights hockey.
Really?
Yeah. Eddie had his band back in high school was called BCRC, Ben Kenobi Resurrection Committee. It was a ska band, and I can't remember what the name of the song was, but in the Ballad of the Game Show Host or something it was called. And at the very end of the song, it was like, I'd like to buy a vowel pad. Shut your hole, you filthy piece of stinking mutt. Just remember, have your game show host spayed or neutered and help control the freak population.
That's coming back to me now that you mentioned that.
God.
I would like to give a special Wise Guys condolence to Jerry Springer. The man who brought us many a days of realizing how good our lives actually were.
Until we figured out it was scripted.
To the politician who paid the whore with a City of Cincinnati check.
Okay, I was gonna say not the other politician who paid a woman off.
No, Jerry paid a bill Well, he's there. He paid his bills.
At least
With
he was a politician who did.
That's true. Um, you know, my wife in her ingenious Facebooking when the baby's sleeping saw a meme that said, Jerry Springer is gone and Maury's retired. Everybody's going to have to find out who their own baby daddies are.
Steph, I'm leaving the group chat.
You two with the dad jokes, as much as I roll my eyes, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing is my nurse friend Kate on the west side, like her and I started doing it, and then we actually got off of it for a little while. And now here comes your wife getting me back into it.
How about the ones in British? I said the ones with the British accent I sent you.
Those were hilarious.
Oh my God. TikTok's a wonderful place. So James, we've talked about extending the invitation to Mr. Rice for next week. Should we explain to the audience why?
I feel that would be your department, Michael. You're the one who pretty much gets our guests.
Well,
I throw ideas out. You're the one that actually gets the confirmation.
You're the technical advisor and I'm the social director. I'll
live with that.
I am the gonzo of the. He was a social director on Love Boat. I'm getting old. I'm really going way back.
Were you actually going to say Gonzo from the Muppet Show? And I was going to, I'm trying to figure how do I throw a rubber chicken at you?
Do you see Electric Mayhem are getting their own show on Disney Plus?
No.
Oh my God. Kevin Smith shoots their music video.
I brought this up to a girl at work. She was in between calls. She's one of only 3 people in the office right now. And I said, I've got something very important to discuss with you if you've got a moment. So don't pick up your next call if it rings. And she put her headset on mute to make sure if it did, she wouldn't come in. They wouldn't come in right away. And I said, I just got 2 words for you. And it wasn't suck it. It was phenomena.
I was just going to say that. Steph had one of Bobby's kids songs that they do at story time, and then we have the playlist on YouTube. And she goes, I got the bubblegum song stuck in my head again. I go, Phenomena. Nothing. So we're going to extend the invitation to our buddy John Rice to come on. The first time I had him on my show, which I'm hoping to find time to do a Big Rican episode. I have really put all my work into the Wise Guys. The only time I put into the Wise Guys. But it was announced yesterday, the setup for the first ever 12-team college football playoff, which will be at the end of the 2025 season, with the national championship game being played in Miami in January 2026.
Very nice Keith Jackson enunciation there with Miami.
Thank you. Keith Jackson, of course, called that Fiesta Bowl against the U for Ohio State. And John, in my opinion, is of the people I know the preeminent expert on the college football playoff, being a college football referee.
Yes.
So I will extend the invitation for John for next week. It is broken down exactly the way we thought. I know he did a mock-up of what he would have had last year, so we can dive into that a little bit with him. Mm-hmm. We can also discuss, current events are going on as well. Apparently, the Browns just paid an undrafted free agent a ton of money. I don't know where they got it from. I don't know if Jimmy Haslam's couch has just rolls of stuff in it. Or if First Energy ponied it up with their money from Jim Jordan, I don't know.
I was going to say, did the Pilot Flying J settlement bounce? Holy shit! The Celtics are blowing out the Sixers.
Is Embiid even playing?
114-81. No, he's not playing.
Well, there's your ass whooping.
Wow, this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Boston outscored them by 19 in the third quarter.
Listen,
Wow.
man, that Celtics team is hungry. And how scary is it that these teams that get Kyrie Irving the hell out of Dodge are getting better?
Yeah. That's the best part. But anyway, back to John.
So, yeah, we're going to try and get John on. If it's not next week, I would like it to be soon because I really would like to dive into the college football playoff. Get a little bit of preseason college football stuff going soon as we are past the spring games. Of course, where I am now, it is religion, Georgia football. But believe it or not, there is a big Ohio State fan contingent down here and in northern Florida. Bucks travel well. We get hatred aside, we all know that.
And at least down where you are, you also not only have, baseball going full swing, but you got a lot of college baseball with those.
I do have a lot of college baseball down here. They'll play super regionals down this way too.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to try and get John on the next couple weeks to discuss the upcoming college football playoff. I will say this, my favorite part is it actually says the first round games are on campus. It doesn't say neutral site. It doesn't say option. It says on campus.
You might actually not have a choice at that point. Didn't I also read something that they were going to be doing a triple header or something?
Yes, the first game is on the first round is I'll do this quick, and then we'll go from there. The first round, there'll be one game on Friday, 3 games on Saturday.
Makes sense.
On December 31st, it'll be one of the New Year's 6 bowls, and on the first, it's the 3 big ones: the orange, the
Fiesta, sugar.
The orange, the sugar, and the rose will all be a part of that. The national semifinals will be the Fiesta and the peach, and then the national championships in Miami. I did not read if they're rotating.
What will be? They're going to have to in coming years, but
we'll just rotate those New Year's 6 bowls into what importance they are.
Right.
You can do that.
Because you and me growing up, the Peach Bowl was a New Year's game, but it was never a marquee game, and now
it was the game
in the national spotlight.
It was the game they made so Georgia could play in a bowl game every year. Let's be honest. And it's not been. And listen. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That game's in Indianapolis. It's targeting. And I've had Georgia fans down here. They have said Georgia fans have said the same thing.
Well, they're smart. They're not delusional like the ones in Columbus.
I'm in Georgia, but I'm still delusional. Anyway, plus with baseball is going to be heating up too. We're going to have a lot of speculation about Ohtani in the next coming weeks because if the Angels fall off, he's already said he wants out.
Yep.
So who's going to make the big splash? Who's going to pay the money for him? I think we all know who's got it.
Pittsburgh.
Dude, I cannot believe they sent him back down already.
Yeah, but that's only a matter of time type thing. But we'll cover that next week.
Sounds like a plan. So, Jim, I have to say though, when it comes to the way you and I do these things, we do have some knowledge, I believe. I think we come from a love of sport. I think we come from a love of our favorite sports to a level where we do this for fun and maybe someday professionally. But still, we have this going on. I find that to be our most endearing quality.
Yeah,
But of course, that's Gene Wilder's fully ad-libbed line to Cleavon Little from Blazing Saddles. But go on.
Yeah, and by the time Memorial Day comes around, the soundboard's going to be coming back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay!
So it will be back. Trust me.
Leave Bob Uecker on there, please.
Uecker's going to be on there. Our new unofficial show tag is going to be on there. That will be on there. So
I have had some good ideas, haven't I?
There's going to be a lot of stuff. Yo, yeah, Mike is the comedic genius that runs this off the rail train.
And I would like to say that I believe we should put 5 minutes aside now and go 5 minutes over what we wanted to. And let's throw a few names out there into the Wisey translator. Okay, everybody, this happened during the draft. We were talking about Will Levis not being drafted.
Fun.
And I said, wait, the Commanders have Jacoby Brissett. And Jim says, let's put it in the Wisely translator and go, Sanico Wallace. That was it. And of course, I put Will Levis in the Wisely translator and came up with Ryan Leaf. So I'm going to say a name. I would like you to put it into the Wisey translator for me. And as I give you a name, I would like you to think of one for me.
Okay, hang on. Give me about 15 seconds here because I've got something in mind.
Oh, boy. If only we had the money. Because I think we should make this the beginning of the Wisey translator.
Yeah. Make sure the ad does not play on this.
Yeah, the ad's playing on this one too. Come on, come on. Who cares? Fitbit sucks.
Okay. All right. Your first name going into the Wisey translator.
This should be the song. Which makes everything better. So my first name?
Okay.
My first name for you in the Wisey translator is Baker Mayfield. That's beautiful.
The Wisey translator spits out Mo from the Three Stooges.
Wow.
He's the short one. He's the smart one, but he's always the one that gets smacked first.
Please give me Deshaun Watson. I'll give you a free one. Give me a different one, but Deshaun Watson to me would be Shemp. The one who's left out.
Your first entry into the Wisey translator will be Draymond Green.
Donkey from Shrek.
You leave Eddie Murphy alone.
Oh my God. Okay, sidebar about Donkey from Shrek. On TikTok, a guy actually asked at Universal the donkey animatronic for a piece of advice, and he told him to make it poetic. This dude who's on the microphone goes, "Never trust a big butt and a smile." I thought you and I had stuff wrong with this. I got one more for you for the Wisey translator, James.
Okay.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ricky Williams.
Because he smokes weed, or because you think he'll be that good?
No, because I think it's a lot of hype for something that's going to flame out very, very badly.
I would have said Hingle McCringleberry, but that's just me.
Yeah, but Hingle McCringleberry was a receiver, not a running back.
That's what they're going to use this guy as. Do you have another one for me, sir, before we call it a night?
Yeah, it's not going to be sports related.
Okay.
With what actually happened in the news this week, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Coke whore.
Thank you. Did you see before we sign off tonight that somebody paid for a billboard in her district calling her out by name?
No, but the Bud Light one is better.
It was in her district, and it's a huge billboard with her face on it from her congressional picture, and it says the election was not stolen. January 6th was an assault on the Capitol. You need to resign. And it's like right in the middle of the whatever her jurisdiction is, right in the middle of a major freeway.
That's down here. She's Georgia.
Yeah.
I might go for a drive.
I'm going to try and send you the picture. I don't know exactly where it is, but I think the story will link to it. Somebody just posted the picture, but it was worth it.
That's phenomenal. So, James, again, another exhilarating conversation. We did go longer than we thought, but again, we did go off a little early tonight. So there's that. Other than that, coming up, we are going to have, obviously, our weekly show. Hopefully we'll have John on next week.
We'll be back in our normal 9 p.m. time slot next Thursday. We're still working on trying to get these a little shorter for you. Going weekly is a little bit more difficult, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and especially I think tonight was more because we had all the draft stuff. We have the playoff stuff. We'll get more into the hour when we get more topic driven. Is really baseball is the only thing that's going to be out there in a couple weeks.
Right.
But yeah, now with the playoff, I think the playoff one's going to be a few minutes longer, just because there's a lot we can dive into. And John's got a great diagram for one that we spoke about previously. We are still in the planning mode for October 28th. I actually got to figure out where the stadium is. That'd be good.
If you think about it realistically, we still have 5.5, just a week shy of 6 months.
I know, but it's going to get here quick.
Yeah.
Look at
what Mother's Day is the week after next.
Dude, I can't even.
2 weeks after that is Memorial Day, which you guys know where you're going to find me.
Drinking.
Off grid. Because what's going to happen.
And I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I got to work that weekend. And listen, here's another one. 2 days after Memorial Day, Caitlin turns 22.
I turned 45 3 days before it.
Look at you. What are we going to do? I'm putting together that week's show, and it's going to be a Saturday night, and it's going to be a long form.
Oh, Christ. Because I have to get up for the 500 the next morning.
The 500 is on Monday.
No, it's always on a Sunday. It's always the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend.
I promise you no longer than 1 hour and 45 minutes. Let's just say
I'm not going to be sober enough to watch the race.
Let's just say that if it goes the way I want it to, and I can plan this the way I'd like it to, Comedy Central ain't going to have nothing on me.
To quote Rodney Carrington, you can actually just kind of make it all go away and make it up for me in just 3 words. And you know what? I don't even know if I want to say it.
Don't say it, but I know exactly what you're saying.
You know the song I'm going to reference.
I do know the song you're going to reference, and that's anybody's birthday, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but considering, you're married and I'm not.
And I also can't drink beer.
That man is a deacon in his church. Oh my God, I need to go back and watch that special tomorrow at work.
Oh, the fact that you say things like that, it annoys the shit out of me.
What, that I could do that at work?
Yes.
It's called YouTube picture in picture while I'm running reports. I ain't got to be on the phone.
That's true. That's very true. So, everybody, thanks for joining myself and Jim tonight for this weekly episode of the Wise Guys. For Mr. JC Blue Note, I am the Big Greek, and we're going to sign off. But we are going to leave you with one other piece of wisdom as we go on. Be good to one another and yourselves. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.